It's Wulf, and it's the first 15. This is Walking Zombie 2. This is another one of those games that I just sort of wandered across on Keymailer and thought it looked kind of interesting, so I requested a key, and they sent me one. Fun fact about this game, so this is developed by Alda Games, who actually also developed the game Killing Room, which I did first 15 on quite a while ago. This game is available on a few different formats, but for this video in particular, it's available on the Xbox Series consoles and the Xbox One. I don't own an Xbox Series console right now, so I am playing on an Xbox One. And as for other formats, it also seems to be available for PC and phones. However, there seems to be a difference between the versions of the game. So the Xbox version costs actual money. It's about $10, and right now, as of recording this audio, it's actually on sale for a little under $3. But the PC and mobile versions of the game seem to be free, and there's a significant difference in that because it seems like the PC and mobile versions of the game are more traditional free-to-play, but like with in-game purchases type of setup, whereas so far as I could tell, the Xbox version seems to be a more normal game because there's like a premium currency thing in the game. However, I've noticed that I didn't see anywhere to actually use that premium currency. Like there's a trader character that you can buy stuff from, and all of the stuff he was selling was just normal currency. So I'm not sure if later on in the game, if it could also have some of the kind of like premium currency issues that free-to-play games have, but for the Xbox version, I didn't see any of those present in the time I spent playing the game. And also, even though this game very clearly started out as a mobile game, you can tell pretty easily that it was a mobile game because a lot of the screen elements, especially in the menus, look a lot like the type of stuff you would see on a mobile game, like with big sort of areas that look like you would press them with your fingers on a phone. But despite that, it is actually better than you would probably expect. I'll talk about mechanics a little bit later on in the video because first I want to talk about story a little bit. So the story for this game is pretty straightforward. You're a survivor in a zombie apocalypse, you live in a little community, and you get sent on missions by other members of the community to go do various tasks and get various things. Overall, the story mainly seems to be there to justify sending your character on these different missions and stuff. I'm not sure if it gets deeper later on or anything, but I mean, it serves its purpose. It's not intrusive or overly harsh to follow or anything like that. But when it comes to the writing, something I want to mention real quick is that this game has a pretty weird sense of humor sometimes, and I'm not sure if that might partially be due to language. The developers of this game are from the Czech Republic, so I'm not sure if this game was developed in English first or if it was translated into it afterwards or whatever, but there's some points in this game where the comedy is just kind of strange. There's actually a few points that I might cut out of the video, and one in particular that I think is a pretty good example of this is that there's a character at one point you can talk to, and your character just asks him literally like, hey, why are you covered in crap? And he talks about how he dropped his watch in the outhouse, and so he asks you to get it. In the game, literally, you go into this outhouse and there's actual like crap, and your character has to dig through the toilet to find the watch. And I mean, in some ways, it's like, if this was in a AAA game or whatever, people would probably think it's kind of hilarious, and it is kind of funny because it's like this art style that the game has, which also, by the way, kind of funny how this game has a really similar art style to Drive for Survival, which is another game I did a first 15 on, but from different developers. But anyway, it's funny to see something like that in the art style, but it is kind of weird. And then also, there's another scene in this game that actually is going to happen later on in the first 15, but the one character who's supposed to be kind of like the elder of the group tells your character that you're going to need to kind of like pull your weight, and he says something about the stew that you're eating, and your character asks like, what's in the stew? And he's like, you don't want to know? And they pretty much like directly say that they ate somebody else, which is really weird. And the thing is, you can't tell if they're joking because there's not that much voice acting in this game. So overall, there's just some interesting writing to say the least. I mean, it's not offensive or anything, but some of it is a little bit odd. And then when it comes to gameplay, as I mentioned earlier on, the gameplay in this game is actually pretty well put together. When you're just shooting stuff and you're fighting zombies, the game feels like any other first-person shooter game. It doesn't have vibration for the controller, I noticed, which does make it feel a little bit weird because most console games have vibration on the controller. But other than that, oh, and the sensitivity, the default sensitivity is kind of high, but otherwise, I had a fun time blasting zombies away. So I mean, I thought that the controls and everything were fine and the gameplay was good, and there does seem to be a variety of weapons and stuff like that in the game. So overall, as just like a zombie shooting game, I think it's pretty alright, and I do think that it probably doesn't go super deep into like weapons or anything like that, but there definitely seems to be some variety, and I do think you could have quite a bit of fun with it if you're a fan of other zombie games. I will say though that the menus do feel a little weird sometimes, and I think that's from this game's seeming origins of being a mobile game, because sometimes like you'll use one analog stick for one thing in the menus and then the other analog stick for another thing, and then sometimes the A button was like the confirm button, but then other times like the X button was the confirm button. So there was some oddities with the controls in the menus, but I mean it wasn't enough to really like make anything super weird. And even in the gameplay itself, even though the general like shooting gameplay is fine, like the change weapons button was down on the D-pad, which again, a little bit of a weird controller setup, but also not so confusing that it's hard to get used to. I actually got used to it pretty quickly, like within this first 15 minutes. So overall, I'd say that for the price point of this game at $10, it's not so bad. I think it could definitely be a game that you would enjoy for $10, and there is the mobile version and the PC version, which are free to play, so you could also check it out if you can play on a phone or a PC before you go buying the Xbox version. And I mean, I'm like a big fan of Call of Duty Zombies and stuff like that, and I won't say that this game is like anywhere near the level of polish of Call of Duty Zombies, but I think that if you're into those type of first-person shooter zombie games where you just kind of shoot zombies and fight zombies and stuff, and sometimes fight other survivors, I think you'll probably enjoy this game, and especially if you can find it during a sale like it is at the time of me recording this audio for under $3 for the like $270 or whatever that they were asking for it when I just checked before doing this. At that price point, I would definitely say if you think this gameplay is interesting, then it would be a purchase that you would probably want to make. At $10, you'd maybe want to make sure that it's really a purchase you're going to make, but even still, I don't think you would necessarily regret it if it seems like a game you would like, because it is pretty fun. It's, like I said, the story is pretty simple, and some of the stuff in it is a little bit odd, but overall, I mean, the gameplay of it is fine, and it's a pretty alright game. So, thank you guys for watching this first 15. Here's the rest of the gameplay. Hope you enjoy, and bye-bye.
Were you looking for me?
Yeah, sit down. We have quite a serious problem. We ran out of supplies last week.
What? We're doing great. Look at that goulash.
You don't want to know what it is made of, but I think we're all going to have a good sleep tomorrow. The winter is coming, and we need to prepare as best as possible.
So, I have to bring supplies from your old house, or be eaten as punishment, right?
Well, when I was discussing it with Frank, he proposed to eat you first.
What a jerk. Is there someone else who would like to eat me?
Hard to say, but I heard Leela saying that you are as sweet as honey.